Hey, 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 welcome everybody to this edition of Turnaround Marriage. And I want to dive in today with a subject that is near and dear to our hearts, but is affecting so many people out there. And if you're out there today and you're listening and you're thinking, it seems like we've tried a lot of things in our marriage, and it seems like we've tried to improve things. And there have been moments where we've gotten better and then we've gone backwards. And it seems like it's been maybe months or years even of trying to rekindle, trying to reconnect, trying to grow the marriage to the next level. And you're realizing it just keeps going back to square one, and it's never thriving. It's never moving ahead towards the marriage that you know that God has in his heart for you with the way he designed it. If that's you, if you've been wrestling out there for a long time, this is exactly the place that you need to be today. So, my friends, first of all, if you are coming to us on Facebook, make sure you are part of our Facebook group. If you search Turnaround Marriage, you're going to find our community where you can just click to join, and we'll let you in there. And there's a lot of resourcing and encouragement that happens there. Also, make sure when you search Turnaround Marriage, you're also going to see our coaching page. It's Turnaround Marriage Transformational Coaching. Make sure you like that so you can see all of our content that's coming your way. Also, if you are coming to us on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and share that content. We would appreciate that so very much. So, guys, I really want to get to the heart of this. When do we know when radical action is necessary in the context of your marriage? When do you have to? When is it to the point where change has to really, really happen and you've got to take some drastic steps? I'll paint a few pictures. One, when disconnect has been constant. When maybe there's moments that there has been these connection points, but overall you recognize that you guys are walking on eggshells in your own home. Or if you're like business partners and like your business partners and maybe even running a taxi service for your kids. And it's like you're two ships passing in the night. You're hardly connecting, let alone connecting emotionally or sexually. And it's like you're just doing life and you're just surviving. If that is you and you've been there any more than a week, then radical action is necessary. If you have been struggling in your marriage for a long time and maybe you've tried different things and it seems like you just keep going back to square one, and it seems like, yes, there's been moments of connections and you've gone to a weekend away and it really seemed to help, but then you go back to the same type of vicious cycles, and your marriage is not being nourished. You're not being nourished. You're not being fulfilled, and neither is your spouse, and you both know it. Radical action is necessary. If you have some degree forgotten who you are and you're like lost in the shuffle and you forgot which end is up, and it's like, is God even with me? And you're just feeling lost in life and you're wondering, like, what am I even doing here? Then radical action is necessary. If you are seeing the circumstances in your life and you're wondering, how did we get to this point? How did I get here? When I started off with my walk with the Lord, I had so much excitement. I wanted to share, I had so much passion. I wanted to share the hope of walking with Christ with other people around me. And you're looking and you're like, I cannot believe this is what my family looks like. I cannot believe what the situation that I'm in is. Guys, I'm here to tell you, radical action is necessary. If in any way there have been the same cycles that you keep going back to over and over again, radical action is necessary. And guys, this is where the rubber meets the road. If you are in a place like any of these I've described, a little bit of counseling is never going to change much. Reading a book is not really going to do anything more than just scratch the surface and give you some pointers. Because what happens once you've read the book or once you've had that counseling appointment? Nothing has actually really changed much. You're trying to tweak an engine that needs to be radically overhauled, right? It's never going to work changing out the oil when you need a whole new transmission. It just is. Yeah, it's better than nothing, but it isn't going to really radically change things. Radical action is what's going to need to take place. And guys, I'll just give you one example of this that's just really been haunting me for a couple of weeks now. I spoke to a man a few weeks ago, and he told me in this call that if nothing changes, that he is headed for divorce. His wife was probably going to be moving out with the kids any day. But when it came to investing in himself and his marriage, he said, well, I have money set aside to go on our Disney trip, and my wife and kids will be disappointed if we don't get to go. And I'm like, are we even on the same planet here? If you think what needs to happen is you need a little bit of a tweak here and there, and then you're going to this magical Disney trip like they show you on TV and everybody's happy, you're really holding on to hope, even though you're probably not even going to make it to Disney. You might not even make it to Christmas with your wife being in the same house. And you're wondering if you should take radical action. Your game plan is Disney, and that's what he went with. He hung up the phone, and I know where he's headed. You know where he's headed. He couldn't even see it, or he chose not to. He chose not to. That's the bottom line, because he would not take massive radical action to change things. When is it necessary, my friends? When is it necessary where radical change has to happen in your marriage and in your home? If you're listening, it probably means that it needs to happen. Almost always. To change the situation, what needs to happen? Not doing the same thing over and over again. That's the definition of insanity. Because what is the heart of the matter? If things keep going and you're banging your head against the wall and you've tried some things here and there and the marriage improvements didn't work, I don't believe that even exists very much. Be careful. There are marriage improvements, but most times they're like trying to pull out a dent with a broomstick. It's just not going to work very well. And so here is the heart of the matter. Your priorities are probably what are out of whack. Or maybe you've gotten to the place where you're just so mega frustrated that even if your spouse seems to be acting a little bit nicer, you don't even believe that it's true. And you're in these vicious cycles that you're very, very familiar with. Your trains of thinking are exactly the same way. It's like you're on this record, and the record keeps going round and round and round and round. And guess what? Pretty soon, you're going to end up at the end of the record. Of course, you're going to wind up there. So what needs to happen? Not doing the same thing over and over again. Things have to change. And I'll just tell you, dabbling doesn't work. Well, I guess I'll try loving her a little bit better. It just doesn't work. It's like, okay, I'm going to pick up the record player and the needle, I'm going to move it ahead a few notches, but you're still on the same track. Nothing is really changing because marriage improvements really don't work very well. And that's what we'll often say to our clients. Like, we don't do marriage improvement. We do marriage transformation, because that's exactly what's going to actually really need to take place, because tweaks aren't going to help very much. They never do. And it just continues to break our hearts when people said over and over again, well, I don't know that I can invest in my marriage. We have this. One person said to my wife the other day, like, well, you don't understand. You don't understand. We have to have this. Our kitchen is being redone. We're planning to get our kitchen redone. Like, do you hear what you're saying? Like, you've just told me that you're about to lose each other, that you're about to lose your marriage, and you're worried about your kitchen. You're gonna invest in your home and not invest in your home, your real home, your marriage. It makes literally no sense. But they're so committed to their not taking radical action that we know where it's going to wind up. And it's really sad. It's really heartbreaking. And we see it all the time. What is it going to take to change things? Not talking to somebody once or twice, but something that's radically different. Something that's going to very much change their patterns of thinking, their patterns of acting, and quite frankly, their thought patterns. And I would even say the way that they've done things is just not working. And unless radical action happens, we know where it's going to go. At very best, if it's till death do you part as a sentence of sucky marriage and just living it out, or even worse. Neither one is that. Neither way is what is in God's heart for you and for your marriage. He designed marriage to be a blessing, a place of connection, a place of being with someone that you can live life with and be a gospel partner with. And my friends, if you're doing it after the patterns of the world, or doing it after the ways that you've been doing it for years and years, is it any surprise that the marriage helps and tweaks didn't work? because you had not been committed to radical action. I just spoke to somebody just very recently where I said, your priorities are completely out of whack. You're working for a 9 to 5 job that's got you exhausted, and you're driving all this distance to get there. You're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and look where you are. Look where your kids are. Look where your family is, because you have been so committed to the status quo instead of radical action. Of course, this is where you are. Radical action is necessary. So, guys, I want to help you with this today. What is going to have to happen is to look in the mirror. That's where change begins. And that's exactly what we do for free in our breakthrough calls. And so what I want to encourage you to do is go to turnaroundmarriage.com/call. We're going to get on that phone and we're going to talk and help get you clarity about what is not working in your marriage right now. And this is such a gift to so many people, just simply understanding why is it that we're in these vicious cycles. But we're not going to just stay there. We're also going to move forward on what you hope and dream things could be like, what you know is in God's heart for your marriage, and then a pathway to get there. And that pathway to get there is where radical action usually can take place. And we'll paint the picture for you of what that strategy would be. And imagine what it could look like as a Christmas gift to each other and to your family for you guys to begin. We just have a few slots left for the rest of the year. Imagine to end this year on the right foot and starting the next year with the very best foot of what could be possible if the two of you, even if just one of you decide, I'm going to take massive radical action to change my circumstances with the help of God. Imagine what would be possible then, instead of being resigned to doing the same habitual cycles of disconnect and dysfunction. You're going to stay there forever, or are you going to walk in freedom as God has offered to you? So I want to encourage you to book that call. I also want to just recommend one other thing. On January 9th, we just launched for the very first time. We've never done this before. We're offering a workshop called From Conflict to Closeness. And helping, and it's going to be a powerful 1 day, 3 hour plus workshop that's going to be so powerful to help you to see not just what's possible, but how to do it, what it can actually look like in your marriage to change conflict and to turn that around into actual growing into closeness together. How amazing this will be. It's not for everybody. It's not cheap. It's not $50. It's $4.99 to the end of the year and then $5.80 after that. It's a great way to invest in each other. And this might be a gift that you pass along to somebody else. And I'm here to tell you, it's not like anything else out there. It's for those that were committed to radical action right now, because they know in their heart of hearts that the passive stuff they did in the past did not work. So guys, if you're out there today and you're hearing one of these two things is going to be your option today. One, turnaroundmarriage.com/call, book that call, or turnaroundmarriage.com/workshop. Either one of those are going to be a path towards radical action beginning today. If you're out there, you're listening, you know in your heart of hearts that radical action is necessary, then let's take those steps. Lots of love, my friends. We'll talk.